If you asked me to give you a list of all analytics tools that are visually appealing, have powerful modeling capabilities.
Why do I love Excel? It's 2 words. Power BI. Maybe that's 3 words.
Power BI is a tool to empower our business.
Power BI is great and is the embodiment of everything that makes Microsoft great.
It truly revolutionized the process for how we approach, use, and view data.
Have multiple ways to share, can be used on mobile devices.
I love Power BI because it helps me transform my client's business.
It allowed us to see the effectiveness of different strategies.
Business users can stop focusing on how to get data and instead they can focus on just getting on with the analytics.
For us, Power BI has been the backbone to understanding our consumers.
It's a very good and creative way of giving us different ideas and tools to improve our agency.
I use Power BI to monitor my experiments.
Success!
My favorite piece of Power BI is the custom visual.
I love sharing insights.
Can connect to many data sources, have a vibrant user community.
Power BI is innovative, it's daring, incredibly agile, and constantly evolving and improving.
I love Excel because of the infinite possibilities with this tool. There's always something new to learn, and the Power BI tools are making it even better.
I've probably been using Excel since before you were born.
Have excellent support and listens and takes actions based on user input. There would only be one.
Knowledge is power, and Power BI is the key.
Which is why I'm a Power BIer.
Do we have any Power BIers in the audience? Yeah. Wow, 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 wow. It's hard to believe. I mean, it's been less than a year since Power BI was made generally available, and in a matter of weeks, with $0 spent marketing this user conference, we filled the room up. I think we need a bigger room next year. So thank you. Today I'm going to talk about, and we're going to show you a lot of demos, I'm going to talk about modern BI. And I'm going to talk about how we're innovating with Power BI from a user-driven perspective. So those are kind of the 2 themes. Modern BI, we think Power BI represents the first sort of new class of SaaS-delivered BI. We'll talk about what we mean by that and sort of where it's heading. But the thing I want to continue to emphasize throughout the course of the day is that the work that we're doing, the capabilities that we're delivering are being driven by you, our fans, our community, our users, our customers. More than anything else, we want to be known as listeners. We want to be known as responsive. And I believe that as you see through the course of today, the work that we're doing, the capabilities that we're delivering, that we are living up to those expectations that I think you have of us, and certainly that we have of ourselves. So Power BI was made generally available on July 24th of last year. At that point in time, we had 45,000 companies using Power BI. Today, we have over 200,000 companies using Power BI in over 200 countries and foreign territories, in over 40 native languages. And for the first time, we're going to talk about our user base as well. And this, to me, is astonishing. Over 5 million subscribers to Power BI. So we believe at this point that Power BI is arguably the world's most widely deployed BI tool. And it really is a result of delivering this as a cloud service. Power BI in many ways is groundbreaking. It takes a different approach. It takes what we believe is modern approach. Power BI was delivered as a cloud service. And if you look at the, sort of the pundits in the industry, the analyst community, the media who look across the broad spectrum of the industry, we are being highlighted as a leader. The Forrester Wave had us up and to the right. All the BI vendors, Microsoft now as high up and to the right as you can get. The Gartner MQ for BI and analytics, again, Microsoft, upper right, furthest to the right in vision and in the leader quadrant. One that I really like is PC Magazine. So in December, they did a hands-on shootout where they took 9 BI solutions into their lab and put them through their paces. And only Microsoft Power BI and Tableau were awarded Editor's Choice, and we think we won that one. And so we've got a lot of good stuff happening out there. When we talk about modern BI, the thing that I think characterizes modern BI, first and foremost, is cloud delivery, SaaS delivery. That's the reason why we have 5 million subscribers. It's the reason why in less than a year we've gone from 0 to 200,000 companies using the product. The ability to sign up in 5 seconds and to start getting value out of your data in 5 minutes or less, even as a non-technical user, is, I think, the ultimate sort of characteristic of Power BI. It's what has enabled that growth. And as a cloud-delivered service, we have the ability to iterate very, very quickly. As many of you know, we ship Power BI every single week. Every week, there's a new release of Power BI with new features and new capabilities. Every month, there's a new release of Power BI Desktop with dozens, typically, of new features and capabilities. And one of the things that you're going to get today is, for the first time, a preview of what's coming over the next 2 months with Power BI Desktop and with the service. And so you'll get to see a bunch of really cool demos. We're going to have Amir Netz, who is the demo god, come out and take Power BI through its paces. But part of what we also get with Power BI as a result of it being delivered in the cloud is a set of capabilities that really do set it apart. If you think about BI traditionally, it's really been sort of a rear view mirror technology. If you think about BI historically, you ETL data into an environment where you can do historical analysis of the data and try to understand what happened. With Power BI, with real-time live dashboard capability, we show you exactly what's happening as it's happening in real time. Not what happened yesterday. You can certainly do that with Power BI, but what's happening right now in front of you. And you certainly wouldn't drive your car simply looking in the rearview mirror, and you shouldn't run your business that way either. And so with Power BI, you get live dashboards and the ability to have a current pulse on your business, in addition to the ability to go back and understand what happened and to identify trends. One of the things that we did with Power BI that I think it's the coolest thing we did, frankly, is to completely open source our visualization stack. So up on GitHub, the entire visualization stack of Power BI and all of our visuals are open source. And if you go to visuals.powerbi.com, you can see this growing gallery. And in fact, this morning, we released 5 more visualizations that you can use in Power BI, and there's another one that's going to get released in about 2 hours. And Amir's going to demo. This one's cool. You're really, really going to like what Amir has to show. But as a result of open sourcing this and the engagement of the community, we now have more options for visualization in Power BI than every other BI product combined. It's stunning once you open up and you allow the community to get engaged. And I think this is one of the capabilities that really sets Power BI apart. Of course, natural language query. Microsoft has, over the last couple of decades, invested billions of dollars in Microsoft research. And one of the advantages or benefits we get from that investment is leading edge, cutting edge technology derived from primary research. And our natural language query capability and the ability to marry Power BI with Cortana and some other things that we're going to show you today come from that partnership that we've developed between the product organization and our research organization. And so natural language query, the ability to simply ask questions of your data. You don't have to be a technical expert. You don't have to understand a query language. As long as you understand your language, you can get value out of your data. And then the fourth thing I want to highlight with Power BI from a uniqueness perspective, and again, providing this flavor of modern BI, is the deep integration that Power BI has with the rest of the Microsoft stack. One of the things I think that we've done historically, perhaps not as well as we could have at Microsoft, is this notion of better together, having products that integrate really, really well together and complement each other and provide a 1 + 1 = 3 kind of scenario without requiring you to take everything. Power BI doesn't require you to have anything other than an email address to get started, but if you also have Excel, if you also use Stream Analytics, if you also use SQL Azure, you get more and more value the more of these assets that you bring to bear against your business problems. And I think it's one of the unique things that Microsoft can provide as a result of owning this global cloud infrastructure. And we're going to show you today the deep integration that Power BI has with Microsoft Excel. Microsoft Excel is by far, miles and miles, ahead of the next BI tool in the industry. I don't know any data analysts that don't use Microsoft Excel. And the ability to bring Microsoft Excel together with Power BI is a huge advantage, I think, for our users and for our customers. And we're going to show you today some new capabilities that will be shipping in the next month, bringing those two technologies closer together. Now, we've talked about SaaS and the ability to deliver BI as a service directly to business users as characterizing modern BI. One of the benefits, I believe, that certainly that the Power BI team gains as a result of being here at Microsoft is that we are built on the world's largest planet-scale cloud. It is stunning, the breadth and the depth of technologies that we have available to us in the Azure cloud. 95 trillion objects stored inside of the Microsoft cloud, 10.5 million transactions processed per second, 75 billion ingress events into the cloud on a daily basis. The scale is stunning. And so from a global planet scale perspective, we benefit in multiple ways. The cost economics of our cloud as a result of the scale and the scope of our utilization of those assets is as low as you can imagine in the industry. And so we really do benefit from having this scaled out ecosystem. And we pass that along to our customers in much, much lower pricing. The other thing we're doing with our cloud, and this is unique in the industry, is we have sort of a planet scale cloud that also has local national cloud capabilities. And so in Germany, with our Black Forest data center, and with our national cloud in China, and others that we've not yet announced, we've got the ability to allow customers that want to keep their data in a facility that is in compliance with the nation-state regulations of where that data is going to be stored and operated by an independent third party is a unique capability that Microsoft offers with Azure. Now, the cloud is of value, but a lot of data still lives on-prem. And so another sort of unique capability with Power BI is the ability to reach back on-prem and to embrace the data that sits in the database systems, the applications that you already have where your data is. Instead of requiring you to pick that data up and move it somewhere else to get value out of it, we really do combine the best of both worlds. With Power BI as a cloud service, the ability to sign up in 5 seconds and get value in 5 minutes, and allowing that 5 million strong and growing very, very rapidly user community to start getting value from data while securely connecting back to the data that's perhaps already sitting in a data model that you've curated over the course of a decade, adhering to row-level security, and really making it an enterprise-class solution regardless of where your data sits. So I'm going to talking about user-driven innovation. So I talked to you about the benefit that we get as a result of being a SaaS service. We're able to ship every single week. Every single week, Power BI ships. Every single week, we ship new custom visualizations. Every single week, we ship new ISV content packs. And so the pace is stunning with Power BI. But as I said in the outset, the capabilities that we are delivering are being delivered as a result of listening to users. Right? We're not sitting off in a lab somewhere and dreaming things up that we think are neat. We're listening to our users who are telling us exactly what they need in order to meet their business needs with the service. And if you look at this, so this is actually a Power BI chart. By the way, this is one of the 5 charts now sitting in the visuals library that we announced today. So this ability to do a dot and line chart with play axis is up there. It's pretty cool. It's a really good visualization for storytelling with this class of data. and this is interactive, of course. One of the big sort of dots here is share with external users outside my organization. We shipped that a couple of weeks ago, and in fact, I'm using that exact capability to embed inside of Power BI this live interactive Power BI chart. And so we've got a lot of capabilities, again, all user-driven. And I want to show a video now of the Elizabeth Glaser Pediatric AIDS Foundation, how they've been able to take Power BI technology and apply it not to a business problem, but to a social problem and literally to help save lives. And so let's take a look at that video.
More than 2.6 million children are living with HIV in the world today. The Elizabeth Glaser Pediatric AIDS Foundation is working to bring the number of children infected with HIV to 0.
We're in 14 countries. We support 6,000 plus public health sites, in particular in sub-Saharan Africa.
She has hope that these two children could grow up, go to school, be educated, get married, and also live in HIV-negative-free life.
We've seen a decline in pediatric infections over the last 15 years because of very successful prevention of mother-child transmission of HIV. The systems that the Elizabeth Glaser Pediatric AIDS Foundation uses are built on the Microsoft BI, which then help us aggregate the data, present it in a very easy-to-understand dashboard with the right analytics.
Data is central to our effectiveness. Power BI is truly important internally for the non-data users. They can customize, they're in control, they're not intimidated by the data.
We've seen over the years tremendous progress, but without a careful analysis of the data, we may fail to see what still needs to be done.
SQL Server 2016 is important to us because 1,000 plus colleagues around the world are working in some remote and difficult settings. Having their data accessible is an asset that allows us to do our jobs better, smarter, more efficiently. This means better services for the Chirango family, for the Takawira family, for their children, and how they live their lives.
I'm happy that so many mothers who are HIV positive and pregnant, they are getting these services, and it is easily accessible in the community.
That's the direct impact of better, smarter data.
Okay. So let's take a look at the background behind the sort of why we're doing Power BI, why we've built Power BI, why we've delivered all of the services surrounding Power BI. Take a look at the industry backdrop that is leading to the need for modern BI and the opportunity for modern BI. So there are two things I think happening in our industry, broadly speaking, that have led us to where we are. The first one we've talked about, I'll beat the drum again, the SaaS delivery of software, the ability to sign up in 5 seconds and start getting value in 5 minutes. Huge, I hope something doesn't fall down here, huge backdrop in our industry, broadly speaking, and certainly shaping, I believe, modern BI. But the second thing that's happening, and I think, honestly, this is far more impactful, is the proliferation of data. Data is coming out of everything. My thermostat, every time I adjust it, emits data. I have this is insane, but I have a Bluetooth connected toothbrush. Every time I brush my teeth, it keeps track of how long I brush my teeth. My bathroom scale, every time I step on it, it takes a body fat measurement, which is terrifying, and a weight, and it uploads it to the cloud. And so my car, all of these devices are emitting information. And the ability to analyze all of this information and to get value out of that information is fundamentally disrupting just about every industry on this planet. We've seen Uber fundamentally disrupt the taxi business, largely as a result of the delivery of SaaS backed by a mobile application powered by data. We've seen Airbnb, the ability to go disrupt a multi-centuries-old hoteling industry. And so industry by industry, this proliferation of data is fueling the transition of industries from a competitive modality that existed prior to having that data to a new modality that's powered by information. Regardless of what industry you're in, you've either been transformed, are transforming, or you're going to transform. And data really is the ingredient that makes it happen. As I said before, the cloud really is the natural home for the vast majority of net new data. The growth of data on planet Earth is absolutely nonlinear at this point. I mean, we're talking about zettabytes of data, many zettabytes of data by the year 2020. 20,000 times, this is astonishing figures, 20,000 times more data than existed in all of humanity 20 years ago will exist in the year 2020. I mean, it's just stunning, this growth. And the growth, all of that growth, by and large, is fueled by computers, by machines. It's machine-generated data. It's not people becoming more prolific from a data generation perspective. It's the proliferation of software and the emission of telemetry, the emission of events. And that kind of growth can only be harnessed through a planet-scale cloud infrastructure. You can't have billions of devices sitting in every country on planet Earth emitting thousands of events per second and not have a planet-scale cloud capable of ingesting, storing, and then holding that data in nation-state compliance with data regulatory requirements. And so this go local and go global capability paired, I believe, makes Azure unique and certainly fits what's happening from a data perspective in today's world. We talked a bit about sort of the traditional BI approach, which is what happened. The ability to look back and analyze historical data to try and spot trends. But as you start to move forward, understanding not just what happened and why, but what's going to happen next, the ability to predict, and then what should I do about it, the ability to prescribe action, really does begin to characterize modern BI. It's one thing to know what happened and why. It's another thing to predict what will happen and to be able to take action based on that prediction. We call that insight, and ultimately that's where the value comes in a modern BI solution. And if you look at our approach, ultimately data and insight is useful only when humans can get value out of it. It's sort of the old, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it, did it really fall? And data is very much like that. If you have zettabytes of data and you don't have someone that can benefit from that and take action based on an insight, then do you really have any value? And so delivering experiences, whether through live dashboards, custom visualization on your mobile phone, via the web, via browser, ultimately is sort of the point of delivery of this promise. But it starts on the other side, and the ability to pull together data not just from our cloud and our technologies, but from other clouds, other SaaS services, and even on-premise applications and data gives you the collective signal required to have the best insights. It's one thing to know that a customer just purchased something from you. It's another thing to know that that same customer visited your website, that they purchased something from you 2 weeks ago, that they are using your mobile application, that they're using one of your connected products. And so the ability to pull all of this data together creates better signal. And we believe we've got the widest set of connectivity now of any BI vendor in the industry. But taking that raw data and then converting it into intelligence is the power of the Microsoft Analytics offerings. And so Stream Analytics, machine learning, are the ability to create custom applications in the Microsoft Cloud, our SQL Server Analysis Services technologies. All of these analytical tools and services take that raw data and ultimately create insight, and Power BI delivers that to the end users. And so let's get to the good stuff. So Amir Netz and his cast of hundreds, I think, are going to come out and demo a bunch of new technologies, a bunch of new capabilities. This is the fun part, so let's have Amir come out.
Thank you, James. I got this click here. I'm not going to use any slides today, so let's put it away. We're just going to do some demos. You know, it's been amazing beginning of the year for us. The adoption curve of Power BI is just breathtaking. And I want to show you why. A lot of it has to do with just the velocity of the innovation, the velocity of features that we're coming with. It's also given me a challenge because everything we have, we just release. Every week we release the features, and when we have a keynote like this, say, well, what do we have in the pipeline? It's all been gone. It's all been released. So what can I show? Well, the good news is we still have so many things that we're working on. So we're going to take a look at them, and we're going to see a little bit of Power BI. Let's do a little bit of warm-up. Okay? So I'm going to use here a data set. We're going to use it throughout multiple demos. It's going to be a data set that is a real data set from Microsoft. You know, we have about 100,000 employees at Microsoft. We all have to travel around the world to do business. And when we travel, we have to buy airline tickets. And there's a department at Microsoft that buys the tickets for us. It's called the travel department. And they were generous enough to share the data with us. So all those demos about the travel that you're going to see, real data, nothing fake. You're going to see the real insight about the travel patterns, travel habits of Microsoft employees. And we're going to use that data set to just, let's switch to the demo. You're going to use this data set here just to get you initiated and warmed up. And if you haven't used Power BI for some reason before, you're going to learn a little bit of the basic gestures. This is a typical Power BI dashboard, the real data. Our cost per mile is about 26 cents per mile. It's about 1/5 of a taxi, real data. I'm going to click in. I'm going to find myself in an empty report. And this is typically, you don't see that, but I just want to use the empty canvas here to go and explore the data. So what you see here on the side, we have here the data set we're going to use, and I have here the trips. And I can start dragging things from the trips into the screen. So I'm going to take a look, for example, at the total number of air miles that we travel. And you can see that Microsoft employees traveled around almost 3 billion miles. It's quite a lot if you think about it. And you can see, for example, what carrier we're using. So just dragging it in, and let's just change the visualization here to a bar chart. And you can see that we tend to travel with Delta Airlines quite a lot. In fact, we travel so much that if you go to the SeaTac airport and you take a look at the Delta check-in counter, you'll find that there are check-in counters with Microsoft logo on them and a badge swiper there that Microsoft employees can take the employee badge and swipe it, and they're checked in. And actually, Delta announced a couple of months ago that Seattle is becoming their new international hub. This is how much business we're doing with them. We can take a look, for example, at the breakdown of the cost. Let's say the cost per mile. We're going to take a look at it by the worldwide area that we have. These are the various subsidiaries at Microsoft. And you can see that overall, about 26 cents per mile is the average. The Germans are spending way more per mile than the rest of the world. And I don't know why, but you can see that the employees in Germany generally fly Lufthansa. And the employees in the UK fly the British Airways. And the employees here in Redmond, the headquarters, we fly Delta. We also fly the local airline, which is Alaska Airline. Very, very easy to go and analyze it, so I'll just put it aside for a moment. One last thing I want to show you here is one of our most popular feature, which is the ability to use custom visuals. So I'm going to go in and take a look, for example, at the, let's go to destination here. And I'm going to take the locations. So you get the map here. I'm going to see how many, where we are flying, air miles. And I'm going to change, instead of the typical map that we have here, I'm going to put here a custom map that we have. This is the 3D map. This was created by the community. It's a nice 3D map that we have here. I can overlay on this let's put here the cost per mile as the heat intensity, so you get this kind of to see where are the most expensive places to fly into, and you can see it's the East Coast here. I can see, for example, the guys in Germany, where are they flying to? And I can see that it immediately zooms in into Europe, and you can see how expensive it is to fly to Europe. And this is kind of the core Power BI experience. If you haven't played with it, that it is, and you also know now the Power BI, the travel data we're going to use today. Okay, now, one thing that is the reason why I chose this data set, this real data set for Microsoft, is because we are eating our own dog food. Microsoft has started using Power BI as it was in the very early previous stages, and probably it's ahead of the curve of the world when it comes to the actual adoption. We have tens of thousands of Microsoft employees using Power BI on a daily basis. We have the usage level of Power BI is equal and sometimes more than the other Office application. This is the level of usage we're getting up there. And as we have this massive, Microsoft is a very large corporation, we have this massive deployment, we are learning what it means to be a true enterprise BI tool, BI platform. So let me show you a couple of things here. First of all, we learned that some data people are readily willing to put in the cloud, and other data, they're not willing to do that. They just don't feel comfortable yet. This data set here is not in the cloud. This data set here, sitting on-premise, what I just showed you here is data that sits on-premise in analysis services connecting through the enterprise gateway. If you haven't played with it, it is stunning how fast the response time of the enterprise gateway. We put our best engineers to create the best hybrid solution in the world, where we actually compare our performance to the actual, we measure the miles from data center to on-premise and calculate the speed of light, and this way about that. This is about the overhead that we have in our solution for the hybrid. There's virtually no delay working with data that sits on-premise with the experience in the cloud. This is how fast it is, and you just play with it, and it's just stunning. It's just, you don't feel any kind of delay when you work with it. So you can click here. See, it just feels natural. You don't have to worry about putting your data in the cloud if you don't feel comfortable with it. It is just as good when you keep your data on-premise. It just flies. It is burningly fast. Now, another thing you might want to take a look at is something here that we learned from the big customers, from the big deployments. See, I have here 3 reports, and kind of the same report, but they show different data. And the reason why they show different data is because we have 3 different users logged into each one of those browser windows. And that's what we heard from the large customers, that we want all of our users to access the data, but they don't have equal rights to the data. Each user needs to see different portions of the data. We call this row-level security, and this is what we are bringing in this month to Power BI, row-level security for the models in the cloud. This was one of the top requests on user voice, and it's coming in. And to set it up, it is pretty trivial. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to say, hey, let's set security. And you can see I have here the security. Let's not save this one. So I have the security. It reads the roles from the system. It's going to find here all the roles is the travel data role. You can see here different, these are my users from APAC, Asia Pacific, EMEA. This is Europe, Middle East, and Africa. I can see here the users, user group, and I can see here the rules. And I can see, for example, I hope you can see that the rule here says that those users can see only the travel for the other employees from the same from the same region, from the EMEA headquarters. And when I'm looking at the APAC, these are only can see the users from APAC. It's just a Boolean condition, very simple. You put it in, and that's how you make sure that every user just sees the data that they need to see. Last thing that we heard, another thing that we heard from you is that you need, as deployments grow, you want more governance. And we have introduced the admin center a couple of months back, and we are adding a few more features to this. So let's just move here. It is going to be, this one. So this is the admin center. And notice that we are releasing this month the usage matrix. Usage matrix is a tool that will give you, the administrator, to see what is going on in the system. Which dashboards are being used, which users are using it the most, which data sets are most consumed by most, what are the content packs that are using, everything. Get visibility. You can now have governance. You can see what's going on. If people are abusing the system, can step in, test, and take action. This is another, we are working to bring those enterprise capabilities one by one into those Power BI, because we hear you. We can, these are all on user voice. This is why it is, I think you're adopting it so fast, because we just always on user voice. So one more thing. Who of you are using Excel? Oh, yeah. You know what is the top requested item from Excel users on user voice? Well, they told us. They told us that when you spend all this time to go and collect the data and clean the data and model the data and deploy it on Power BI, you don't want to use it just one-for-one report. You want to use it just for Power BI. You want to be able to use any number of tools, and especially Excel, on that data. You wanted us to be able to allow Excel users to connect to the data in Power BI directly. So let me just show you this. I'm going to go back. I can go here to the same data set, and I can say, analyze in Excel. And when I do that, it's going to open up Excel. It's going to tell me that I'm connecting to an external data source. And when I do it, hopefully, here we go. We're now connected live to Excel, to the to the travel data that sits in the cloud in Power BI. Excel sees Power BI as one big analysis services with a giant server in it, and it can work live against the data. Amazing, right? So I can go and take a look at here, for example, the number of miles traveled. Let's break it down by the number of miles traveled. Number of miles traveled. But let's break it down by the worldwide area. Now you can see, how many miles each subsidiary of Microsoft is flying. Let's break it down further by the carrier. We'll see which carrier it's flying. You're working live. So analysis services in the cloud available to all the models that are in the cloud. Just part of it, So this is also going to be released this month. So you're just seeing what kind of thing that we're working on. Now, talking about Excel, wow. I've been at Microsoft for 19 years. My second week at Microsoft, I already met with the group program manager of Excel and started this amazing partnership between the BI group and Excel. We've been working together for 19 years. And Excel still is, probably forever will be, the core tool for every business analyst. And it's my pleasure to invite Olaf on stage to show you what else you can do with Excel 2016. Thank you.
Thank you. So the Power BI team and the Excel team have been working together for a very long time, right? For example, take data access with Power Query or data modeling with Power Pivot. It runs on the same stack, so you only have to learn it once. You can choose either tool that you like. Right? It's a great way of how you see the two teams work together. Now today in the demo, I want to show some of the new things that we invested in Excel 2016. We got a lot of feedback through Excel user voice, and the community really lets us know which are the things you would like to see on there. So let me show you some of those cool things on here. Let me start with a normal chart. Let's see if my mouse goes. Nope. Sorry about that. There we go. Let me start with a normal chart that I have here, a bar chart. Right? One of the things the community asked us, we really would like to be able to explore data directly within the chart itself. So now here I'm able to actually drill down on my data source directly from within the chart itself and explore my data. Now if I drill down all the way to the month, for example, it's a little bit messy. I have a lot of data in here. So let me filter this by FY15 so I can see what's going on. And so I can clearly see there's a peak in data here that I like to explore and see what's happening with this data. Now, one of the new charts that we have in Excel 2016 is the tree map that you see here. And the tree map really helps me quickly see what is impacting the most, right? So I can see here t-shirts are clearly driving something of this spike. So I like to discover that a little bit more. Now, I have a slicer up here with products. So I'll drill down in t-shirts, and this is one of those new charts the community really has been asking for, right? It was a lot of work before to make a waterfall-like chart. So now it's out of the box, directly native in Excel. You can have your waterfall. And so in the waterfall, I can nicely, quickly see that Q4, something is really happening there. So I'm starting to drill down in my data and really learn. Now, I happen to know that there's a social campaign going on in the company, and maybe it went viral, maybe that's what's impacting this. So the social team has been nice enough. They took the data and they modeled the data and shaped the data and put it in the enterprise data catalog. So I was able to find it right away and put it on this sheet. Now, that's all great, but I have 1,700 rows here with comments, which is just really hard for me to, to parse through and keep up to date on what is really going on with this data. Now, luckily, if you go to Insert and you go to the Office App Store, here you can find really powerful add-ins for Excel. For example, we have data analyst things, we have things for CRM, education, maps, visualizations, productivity, and so forth. But today I'm going to search for Azure, because they have a really cool add-in for Excel. So here we have the Azure Machine Learning add-in. So if I click on that one, I'm going to add it to this workbook, and you see it embeds directly within my Excel file. Now there's a simple web service up here for text sentiment. So I'm going to use that one today. So let me click on the text sentiment one. I'm going to select the row with all my comments right away, and I'm going to say where I want this output to go, and I'm going to say predict. Now really what is happening here is that The machine learning from Excel is actually taking this data and it's going to do the sentiment analysis on it. And you just saw all that data already come back. This is really powerful, right? I'm just doing a sample app right here, but you as an enterprise, you can use Azure Machine Learning for really anything you like to do and interact directly with your data in Excel. This really bridges the business user with the data scientist together. Now, for the sake of time, I've already created a new sheet where I had this data come in as well. And I added a chart to it. So once you start adding visualization to it, now I'm able to actually look at live feedback from Facebook come in and actually make sense of this data. So I can see there's a big spike there going on in June in Q4, and it's very positive. So clearly something went viral on social and people really started talking about it. Right? So I'm getting real learnings from things that are happening with my product on social media now. And so maybe I want to do some forecasting and really adjust my forecast based on what is happening here. So yet, one more new thing that we added in Excel 2016 is the ability to do one-click forecasting. So here I have a 5-year product history of what my t-shirts have been doing. And if I click on data, we now have the forecast sheet button in here. And so with one click, I just got a very advanced forecast directly on that data. Now to show you what it really has been doing, I can click on options and I can actually set confidence intervals here. It automatically detected my seasonality, all those type of things. And if I click on create, it actually creates a sheet and it puts all that data directly in there. Now what is really cool about this is that this is actually a new formula in Excel. So we have forecast.ets and we also have formulas for the seasonality, or sorry, for the confidence, for the lower bound and the upper bound up here. They're Excel formulas, so you can customize this any way you like, so you can personalize it just for you, for your enterprise. Now to show you how powerful this was, I can actually take this formula and I can drag it back in time a little bit. So you can see the forecast was actually pretty good. It was very close to the actual that ended up happening. So it's a really powerful, cool forecasting tool. Now, normally this is where I would save my Excel file and be done, right? But now, now that I have this learning, I actually want to share this with people. I want to share this within my enterprise. So I select my chart here, and thanks to the new Power BI add-in, with one click I can now pin this to my existing or a new Power BI dashboard. So here you see. So here you see I can select from my existing dashboard or create a new one. Now the other really cool thing about this is if I update my Excel sheets at any given time, I can actually go back in there and just say refresh my pins, and it will refresh those pins that I already have published. So let me go ahead and I'll click pin, and you see that fast it opens up already. So I'm going to click on that link. It's going to open up my dashboard. And when I scroll to the bottom, you're going to see the sheet right in there. Right? And like I said, you can refresh this right away. Now, let me show you one other really cool thing is, obviously I have a lot of different data sources in here from Power BI, but I also have another Excel file directly in here. So somebody else published this. So let me click on that. And what you see happen right now is Excel natively within Power BI. So it runs as a first-class citizen. So Power BI now respects Excel files as a first-level report. Now there's a lot of power that comes with that, right? First of all, I can now see all those reports you've been making over the years. You can now actually put them in Power BI and directly show them in here. To show you this real power, I can actually drill down on my pivot tables right away. I can do my chart, my slicing and dicing directly on it. And lastly, I can actually set up an auto refresh for this as well. It will refresh not just the Excel file, but also all the data sources, including the on-prem data sources that we just mentioned to you before. Thank you.
Thank you, Olaf. That was... I don't know how many of you know what you can do with Excel 2016. It's amazing. The combination of Excel and Power BI is just a killer combination, and I just love to see how these things coming together into the Power BI portal. Excel is the first-class content with all its power, and you've seen some amazing things here, including machine learning. And you know, those machine learning, it's something we're continually investing in more and more. The smarts, you know, we started we have these amazing people in Microsoft Research that are really helping us to go and build some of the most sophisticated technologies into our products. And a few years ago, we came up with Q&A, with this natural language interface, which I still think is the key to getting all these uninitiated business users to be able to ask questions that we haven't designed the reports in advance for them. And it's been a very, very exciting journey for us. And I think you're going to see next what's coming both in the natural language space and in the machine learning space in Power BI. And for this, I'm going to invite Patrick. Patrick has been from the Power BI team. Patrick has been with me for many years when we just imagined Q&A. So what do we have here, Patrick?
All right, great. So if you're, as Amira introduced, Q&A, the goal for our team is to allow any business user to be able to find data just by using terms that are in their reports or in their data and very quickly get started. And so to do that, we need to revamp our UI, and we need to make it even easier to use. So here we're looking at some new user experience concepts that will be releasing in a few weeks. So I'm just going to start asking a question. Here's the same data set we've been using. And you can see as I start typing, I'm getting a much more rich autocomplete experience that's getting me started with the different parts of measures and terms in my data that I might want to ask about. So let's just ask about number of, the great old typing demos, number of trips. And so I got my number of trips, and maybe I want to say, from Seattle. And so as I type, I'm getting all this great autocomplete. And then maybe I want to say, hey, from Seattle, let's say things going to, and let's pick China. That's where some of our friends in MSR are that have helped us with all this tech. Maybe I want to look at this by city. And we see we picked a city here. And this is one of the problems with natural language, is there's very often ambiguity in your data. There's multiple cities. There's origin cities, there's destination cities, there's all sorts of joins in the database.
So here it picks just the
yeah,
origin
and it doesn't
city.
make a lot of sense to look at from Seattle trips. So actually I want to switch this, and this will actually look at destinations. Make sure I get my click here. And now we can actually disambiguate through the UI and kind of force the natural language engine to pick the specific data I want to
this is
find.
real data, and I know the swans are small, so except for the people in the front rows, but you can see that Microsoft employees, when they fly in business from Seattle to China, they will either land in Shanghai, Beijing, or Hong Kong, and virtually nowhere else.
Yeah, it turns out Beijing is where some of our MSR partners for the quick insights demo we're going to look at next. But let's ask, we can also just switch terms here. So instead of looking at Seattle, let's look at something that's more of a grouping. Let's say Australia. Now we can see all the places that we're flying from Australia, so it's nice to be able to just kind of quickly navigate that data. Again, I've got all sorts of great auto-suggest here, so I can pick and really navigate that data. But it turns out there's actually some great reports that have been built for this data in the service as well.
Visualization, Patrick?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. So if I wanted to say as a map, it might be kind of interesting to see this data as a map. Again, all this great autocomplete, so maybe I want to look at it as a pie chart. Let's come back as a map. So again, very easy to use. Just get the data as you like it. Ask very fluid and naturally. But again, as I said, it's nice to be able to build my own visuals on the fly, but what if I have some great kind of reports about different topics already created? So maybe I want to look at the trip summary of trips from Australia. Oh, and this is going to load. And what we see here now is this is a trip summary report that's been created, and all those same filters have just been automatically applied to that report. So we can see things coming from Australia, going to China, and it's still completely interactive here. So if I want to filter it down just to internal trips, incredibly easy to use, very, very powerful way to explore data.
So when we started Q&A, all we could do is just really answer questions. And the questions are great, and but you only get one answer. When we introduced the ability to call up report pages from Q&A, suddenly the whole world of visualizations open to you. And the way you create one of those is simply create a report, name the sheet at the bottom. In this case, it was called Trip Summary. You turn on Q&A, and just Q&A start bringing those reports in, but still the parameters are working. So it's still about Seattle to China and so forth, right? Everything is driven by the natural language. Beautiful, beautiful way to create these statistical pages, player cards, product cards, customer cards, and now let the users go and slice and dice those reports using natural language.
Yeah, and so this is, we think a really great way to improve how we navigate data. But there's one more thing. It's really subtle down here, and use zoom it if it's going to work for me. Come down. It turns out that all this data is actually running in an on-prem analysis server's tabular model. It's actually sitting under my desk in Redmond. And we're doing some really clever caching of the string values in the schema up in the cloud, so all the NL's happening in the cloud. But then just like we saw in Amir's first demo, all this report data is actually coming from on-premise, just like that. So we're very excited to unlock even more data into Q&A with on-premise Q&A.
Top user request for Q&A. Work directly with data and analysis services on-prem now, available this spring.
Yeah, coming very soon. And it turns out that same integration will actually flow through for our Cortana integration. So I've got my travel data, and I've got my demo data, and I've got my real data. And so Cortana knows about both of those that have been loaded, made available to Cortana. And I can just like that ask that question. Again, it's reaching down, pulling up that data, And so we can get even more users access just by asking questions in Cortana. We have a session tomorrow morning where we'll go through how to set all this stuff up and play with it. We're very excited by it.
This is just amazing. You know, people don't have to go to the BI system to get their BI data. Just go to Cortana on Windows 10, type your question, call the report out, and you're immediately getting that Q&A experience in the Cortana browser. You know, most users don't even know what the URL of the BI process is, but they all know where Cortana is. I think this is groundbreaking.
Yeah, if I type Win 10, I also get bombarded by Windows 10 metrics from the Windows team and the Cortana team that are already picking up this Cortana integration. So it's a really fun way to discover data in the org. So now I want to switch gears. And you remember last year we released a feature called Quick Insights, which allows you to go to a data set and basically explore that data set for statistically interesting conditions, subsets of data, trends, outliers, and just find that and present you a big list of starting points. So now I want to switch to another data set. This is focused on travel to and from Seattle. It's been uploaded to the cloud, so this is hosted in the cloud. And we're taking that same Quick Insights capability and now letting you run it on a very specific scope. So what I'm looking at here are just trips that are to Seattle. So these are the airports that people most commonly fly to Seattle worldwide from as Microsoft employees. And now in this in focus mode, I have this Get Insights button. So let's take a few seconds to run here. So what we're doing is we're scanning this data set specifically for insights related to this scope. So it's going to look at the filter condition to and from Seattle, and let's see what we can find. Give it a couple seconds to run here. So we look for outliers, we look for trends, we look for other filter conditions. I'm going to wait for a second, otherwise we might hit the abort button on this. All right, apparently my scoping was too aggressive. So we're very excited about the Scoped Insights feature, that partnership with MSR, and we're very excited for you to get your hands on it. I might switch to...
skip it, I think.
Yeah, we'll have to skip it. That's a shame. It's a really cool feature. We'll take a look at this again in the session tomorrow, and so we'll figure out why this is not running. But thank you very much.
Q&A, a killer feature. Now, I don't know how many of you have played with the mobile applications that we have here. We have Power BI has mobile application. I know quite a few. We know that not all of you, because we track to see how much is the usage. Mobile application, I don't know if you can see it. Can we switch to the phone? Yeah, okay, very good. Mobile application. We have the mobile application. Those dashboards and those reports can show up on your mobile application. We have it on the iPhone. We have it on Android. If you have Windows device, you can have it. It's a wonderful application. We just introduced a couple of weeks ago the ability to just look at the dashboard not as a vertical orientation, but when you flip them horizontally, it's just automatically give you the full fidelity, the same dashboard that you saw there on the website. You get the full layout available, and it's fully interactive, so I can click on any one of those and go and tap those bars, and they will work. Everything is working on it. It's fully interactive. That's available. I don't know how many of you, I know many of you use this application for the mobile dashboards. I don't know how many of you have tried to use another feature that we have here, which is the ability to do the QR scanners. Now, this is one of the super cool demo features. And I think maybe you just have to play with it, even at home. Imagine that I'm a grocer, that I'm here, and I have my supermarket here, and I'm selling fruits, and there are some QR codes on top of the fruits, and I can go in and perhaps zoom on one of those and look, and I would like to see, hopefully, let's go a bit closer. I think maybe it's almost got it. Here we go. So you can see here on my fruits picture, I get the statistic. I can see the days of shelves that we have for those pears. Or I can go in here on those bananas and get their statistics. I don't remember what we have here. Oh, these are the stock versus what we have, what the demand versus the stock that we have, just directly. The ability to just augment the picture with the statistics on the object you just have there. It's just so incredible. It's so fun. You really have to try it at home. But yeah, but the other thing, the thing that is really new that we're going to announce today is what we are adding another support for another device, the smallest device. I have here on my hand, I can see an Apple Watch, beautiful white wristband. I hear it's the latest in ladies' fashion. And you can see here, let's switch on to the video camera. Here you go. It's the video. Yeah, it's one of those things that that we have here. So let's zoom in. You can see here on the bottom on my home screen, I have the sales figures. Oh, come on. This is an information from the iWatch here. I'm going to click on the sales figures. I'm going to get here my dashboard. And you can see this is my dashboard available, really, really small. I can zoom in. I can get even more information, right? This is an app going to be available any day now. We're waiting for Apple Goodwill to have it. Yeah, right. It's super cool. You know, if you are into these things, if you are one of those lazy people who don't want to pull out their phone and you want to offend people that they think that when you look in the KPIs, you actually you're looking to see when the meeting is going to be over, you can use this one. It's really cool. Really, really cool. Now, one of the most popular tools that we know that you are using, we know how many downloads we have. It's just crazy. We did not imagine. When we started this project just over a year ago, creating taking all these add-ins that we had in Power BI and putting it into one product, and we didn't know even how to call it. When it was a Power BI Designer, no, let's just call it a Power BI Desktop. Boy, what a blockbuster we have created there. You show us. You can see the comments. You can see the passion. This is just amazingly popular, and we've just been churning out the features months after months, and today, going to be another release of the Power BI Desktop with a few dozen other features. Yeah, you can clap, it's cool. And we're not going to show any of those today. Because you can read it on the blog, you can watch the video, you can do it. You can't travel here, you want to see something else. So we're going to show you not what we're releasing today, but what is in the pipeline, what we are working on, some leaps into the future, and it's all coming from you guys. It's all from your votes, from your feedback, from your tweets. This is how we design the product. So I'm going to call here Nico. Nico is the engineering manager for the Power BI Desktop, and she's going to show us some things that just direct feedback from you showing in the product. So what do we have here? Let's switch to the demo.
Thank you, Amir. So I will showcase a couple of investments that we have in the visual analytical space. Let's start by looking at air miles, air ticket amount by destination airport. And I will change this to a scatter chart. Let's make it a little bit bigger. And it looks like the more you travel, the more money you spend.
Yeah, makes sense. The more miles, yeah, it makes sense. But what's the exact trajectory there?
Yeah, let's validate by turning the trend line on. Sorry. Okay. So now we have trend lines.
Trend lines. Look at user voice. You ask for it, you're going to get it. And it's not just that, you can even style it.
We can style it. We can change the color. We can dash it or dot it, whatever you like.
Cool. So that's cool, right?
Yes.
Now,
there is a bubble here that it's kind of far away from the trend line, and I was wondering what is happening there. It looks like the Heathrow London Airport has a special behavior. So let's analyze a little bit further.
This is real, right? Microsoft employees traveling to Heathrow are spending per mile more than they're spending on any of the other airports, and it's kind of clear from the trend line now. So let's see what's going on there.
So I will take a look at, again, at air ticket amount, but by worldwide area. And let's use the average and see how that is going. And
so this is the average ticket price that we're paying.
Yes, and let's see how Heathrow contributes to that. And we see that it has a big impact actually on China.
Yeah, so you can see that China, typically the airline ticket is very inexpensive, but when our employees flying from China to Heathrow, the ticket price is just skyrocketing. So what can we see?
Yes, I want actually to see the records that are behind of this average, of this aggregate. So
you know what it is. Drill through. You've been asking us for drill through for years, and drill through is coming, and drill through is going to show up this spring in the Power BI Desktop directly from your votes into the product.
Yes.
What else we have?
So I have a couple of enhancements to tables. So I have here a report with a plain table, vanilla table.
Okay, I have to stop you. It's one thing that I'm not proud about the product is how our tables look like. They're monochromatic, they're dull, they have no flexibility. You know, I can see the nods here. We screwed up. Well, not anymore. What do we have there, Nico?
So I will go ahead and turn conditional formatting on. Sorry. Okay. So through one simple click, now I can use colors to actually group the values that I see on the screen in a meaningful way. So
all the measure automatically
there.
got color intensity just by turning the flag on, just available. That's not enough, right?
It's not enough because we need to take care of the rest of the columns in the table too. So we added a couple of styling formatting properties. So you can go ahead and actually have vertical grids on, and vertical and horizontal grids also. You can actually change the thickness of these.
Make it thicker, thicker.
You want thicker? Okay.
Thicker. More. You can control everything, right?
Okay.
So what else would the kids control?
So I can actually expand also the rows, so make it actually wider. I can do the outline colors, so let's choose
Top line on the top. Make it a frame.
And, okay. I'll go to column headers, and I can do it frame here. Okay, I can also change the background color.
You see, we give you all the power to create the most ugly tables you can imagine.
Yes. I can make it even uglier than that. So if I go to the details values, so I can change actually the background color. Let's go for something that can be really ugly. So I can
we can
change
do better
also,
than that, right?
we can do better than that. That's true. So let's go back and. I prepare a couple of tables that actually, hopefully they'll look a little bit better.
You try harder. And you can start looking at things like that, some summer colors,
yes.
right? So
if you
it's the
prefer,
latest fashion from Paris.
Exactly.
Some these themes maybe. How about we do? Yeah, let's go some blue. Yeah.
So blue colors, just.
And you can see what's really cool about it is the tables that used to be the dullest part of the report now getting to be really, vivid and becoming very, now infused. Look at the color, look at the styling, the green on the top and the green on the bottom. Everything just comes together. And we just give you this incredible fine-grained control over every aspect of the table. And now it can really make your report shine. And that's all because of you. Because you told us you need it.
Yes.
Thank you, Nico. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
One of the best decisions I think we've made with the architecture of Power BI was opening up the visualization stack that we have to allow many people to contribute. And we have, I don't know how many of you, I'm sure many of you have visited the visual gallery, the custom visual gallery, and I think we're approaching about 50 custom visuals already there. It's more than double than what we have built into the product. And we have gotten visuals that are just amazing. Some of them are simple, some of them are sophisticated, some of them are creative, some of them are, are crazy, fish tanks and stuff like that. It's just, but it's also allowed us to really harness the power of the community and the power of our partners within Microsoft to add to our value. And one of the people who's done an extraordinary job is Steven Drucker from Microsoft Research. Now, Steven spent 5 years working on a visual that we're going to release today in a preview mode. First 2 years, he spent on the beach in Hawaii studying the movement of grains of sand between his toes. And a result is he created a new custom visual that we call Sand Dance. And you'll see in a moment why he needed that special sand movement. So Steven, my best buddy here from Microsoft Research, show us Sand Dance. Why is it so exciting?
I wish I could spend 2 years on the beach. That'd be a great job. So Sand Dance is a custom visual that represents every row of your data on the screen in an element on the screen in different configurations to help reveal insights. So, let's click on that. So I'm just going to, essentially, it's a custom visual. I'm going to use, to demonstrate this, I'm going to use some data from the last census, the 2010 census, with cities, towns, and places, mashed up with some political data from the 2012 election. It'll be great to update this for the current election. So every row of this data has things like longitude, latitude, income, median income, the median home value, and how much Obama and how much Romney won in each of these counties. So I'll start Sand Dance here. And I'll close this up to give us a little bit more room. And what it's doing right now is it's loading all this data, and it will represent all of these data as points on the screen.
So hold on. So this is not a map visual.
No, this is not a map visual. This is just a scatter plot. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so everybody can see these points a little bit better. But this is just a scatter plot of longitude and latitude, and we're so familiar with the outline of the United States.
How many points do we have on this scatter
Right
plot?
here, this is 25,000 records. And again, this is not just a static visual that you can say, you told me to change the size, but I can do all sorts of things with this. So for instance, I can arrange this as a column chart. This isn't really a column chart. These are actually all the elements pour like sand into these bins, and it does a histogram of these things.
Every point here is a county. It's not the count of the counties, but it's actually every histogram is just made out of this grain sand of grain, or grain sands. Right?
Grains of sand, yeah.
Whatever. And
exactly.
we remain, every one of those counties still remains here.
That's right, exactly. So again, you can even see insights already. For instance, there are not that many counties out here, because if we actually switch back to the map, this is where the Rocky Mountains and the desert are. It's not very densely populated out there. Now, again, the arrangement's useful, but it's even more useful when we start coloring each of these elements. So if I, where did my mouse go? There, thank you. Come on. The mouse is there. Okay, so if we color each of these points, okay, so let's just color these points by Obama. Okay, so now we're actually seeing how much Obama won in each of these counties. So above 50%, Obama won. Below 50%, Romney won. It's red and blue for those who are not from America. Red represents the Republicans, blue represents the Democrats. And so it's fairly clear right now that it's not that red state, blue state story that you've heard. It's really based upon the sort of population density. It's sort of based on, look at Florida right here. We've got blues here and we've got reds here. So you can see why that's such a swing state. And it's also revealing things that I didn't even know. For instance, all of southern Texas here is blue. It's Democrat.
Yeah, you think Texas Republican, but
yeah,
not really.
Exactly. And we've got this little spot over here. So this little spot over here in California, it links to the other things. That's Orange County, which is classic.
And notice that it's still working cross-highlighting between the visual and the rest of the visual, so we can get the insights.
Exactly. So let's actually switch now to a different palette, because right now we're thresholding this at 50%. And it really, that's kind of an unfair characterization, because we're not just over 50 and under 50. Let's look at a palette that's a little bit more continuous. Let's emphasize, actually, all these swing counties. So here what we've done is instead of saying just red and blue, we've done red to green to blue. And you see actually how much variation there is across the country. In fact, if I want to, I can select all the swing counties just by clicking on the color legend. Those are all the swing counties.
And that's probably where all the money is going to go to the next elections. It's all those blue areas, right?
Exactly. And we can actually spread this out and give you 9 different representations of the United States. So for instance, here are all the counties that are the diehard Romney supporters up in this thing. Here are all the counties that are diehard Obama supporters. And you can see I've selected these before. These are the swing counties. And you can see that most of the United States is somewhere in the middle there. But we could actually kind of look at a county over here. So for instance, where might have been a diehard Romney supporter? I can make a little selection over here. And it turns out that's Utah.
Where Romney's from.
Exactly. Again, this is predominantly Mormon. Romney was the first Mormon candidate. So that really makes sense. So let's turn faceting off. And it's clearly not the red state, blue state phenomenon. Maybe it's something based upon population density. So one way we can look at that is we can have lots of different views. But let's look at the stacked view. So this is a 3D view. I'm not a huge fan of 3D in general, but 3D can help you reveal some insights. So if we actually...
I just thought, this is just amazing, don't you think?
So if you look at over here, let me actually navigate around this just a little bit here. So we can just do a little 3D rotate, just to show you this is all live data. So you can see actually down here, in this corner here, there's, again, where there's fairly sparsely populated, that's where you have a lot of the red areas. And up here, where it's very densely populated, that's where there's a lot of blue. There's a lot of Democrats in that area. So again, this actually reveals some insights that I might not have otherwise had. So let's move on to something that's a little less political, but still fairly politically charged. Let's color this by income. So here, what we're seeing, and I'll sort of color, what you're actually seeing is red represents low median income, blue represents high median income. And I don't know about you, but I don't see a lot of blue here. You're seeing a little bit around LA and San Francisco and Seattle and Chicago and New York and DC areas. But again, really not much. So if we actually just do a column chart, you actually see even better now that these are not just these stacked columns. You can actually still see these sort of LA and the San Francisco areas and the Seattle areas. But I don't really care about income by longitude. Let's actually just do a histogram of income. So here you're seeing that the median income here is around 26K, which is around the poverty level. All of these counties, and a lot of them.
So most of the counties in the United States, the average income is under poverty level.
The median income, absolutely, exactly. And to me, this is stunning. Now, this is a proxy. Some of these counties have millions of people. Some of these have hundreds of people. So it's not exactly per person, but it is still a striking result that you can really see there. And we can actually kind of look at some correlations here. We can delve down into this. So, for instance, if I switch to a scatter plot, and if I look at the education level here, you can see that in general, the more education there is, the more income, and vice versa. Again, we can't get causation from this, but we can kind of pretty much look at this. But we can also see a couple of outliers when we look at it this way. For instance, what is going on up here? This is the most educated point in the entire country.
95% of the people in this county have college degree. 19 out of 20, right?
Exactly.
And still, the income level is under. Is basically the poverty level.
That's exactly right. And you're going, okay, where is a place like this? So I can, very simply select it. And it turns out that it's Stanford, California.
Yeah.
Something I would never have expected. The median age there is 23. These are college students getting their higher degrees and not making much money right now. We don't feel too sorry for them. So, but it turns out that, if we look at this place is Tompkins County. I didn't know where Tompkins County was. I looked it up. Turns out that's where Cornell is. And in fact, if we look and select this entire region up here, if I can just operate the mouse, every single one of these places turns out...
High education, low income is a?
Exactly. It's a college town. UMass Amherst, Duke, Raleigh-Durham, Cornell, Dartmouth. Every single place was a college town. Now, I never would have looked for that pattern. But because we were arranging this in different ways, this popped out at me. And that's some of the power of data visualization and what it reveals.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Steven. Sundance preview released today. We're going to continue to improve, continue to integrate it even better into Power BI. But this isn't amazing. Isn't it amazing? So I think we're about the end of the demo. Switch back to slide. I do have one slide just to recap what we've done here. A lot of cool stuff coming. In the enterprise space, you've seen the role-level security and the usage reports, and you've seen from Excel pinning, and you've seen the machine learning, and you've seen the Apple Watch support that we have here. You've seen one of the things that we are working directly from your feedback in the desktop, the trend lines, and you've seen the drill through, and you've seen the table formatting. You've seen some of the cool stuff coming in natural language, the new Q&A, the new user interface, the integration with the reports, and you've seen the new quick insights. Oh, I haven't seen that one. Never mind. But it's and Sundance. Wow, what cool demos we're going to do with Sundance. So with this, thank you very much. I'm going to transfer it back to James.
Wow, wow, wow again. What do you think? Pretty good stuff, yeah. I'm watching the Twitter feed. People are, by the way, that Sundance visual is now available right this minute on the visuals.powerbi.com gallery, so you can go get it and start playing with it. I think if you look at the track record of this team from a continuous delivery perspective, and by the way, when Amir was saying this is available this sprint, what he meant was it's available within 30 days. So every single thing that you saw up here is available within 30 days. And so the pace of delivery is stunning out of this team. And I have to tell you, I've been in this business, I'm going to show my age a little bit, almost 30 years. And I have never, and I mean never, worked with a team as passionate, as competent, as hardworking as the team that's put this stuff together. I mean, it is unprecedented delivery velocity that has produced everything that you've seen. And if you know the trajectory you're on, you can put yourself out 1 year and just imagine where this team will be. I think it's a privilege and an honor to be associated with this organization. Yep. So let's go back to where we were. We're talking about data leading to insight, and we're gonna do some vision demo now and talk a little bit about where we're going. We're not standing still, right? So we talked about going from data to insight, but ultimately, if you can't take action, if you can't do something with that insight and move the needle for your business, you've really not taken advantage of the insight and ultimately not gotten the value that it promises. And so we're going to focus on action for a minute. We are moving now with Power BI from focusing strictly on data analysis, both in real time and in historical analysis perspective, and all of the predictive capabilities, into actually permitting the automation of action from within the insights that you're gathering. We believe this is the next step in modern BI. And one of the things that happened here 6 months ago, so this team that's been diligently working for the last year to build Power BI, we had hundreds of engineers on these products. We've now increased the team size by 5x. 5x. And we are taking these resources and applying them not just to analytics, not just to the analysis of data, but how you take that and turn it into action. And so we've combined our business intelligence, our business application platform, and our business SaaS applications teams into a unified team that will pull all of these technologies together, up and down the stack, and really weave things together. We have a number of existing products I'm going to talk to you about today, but what we're going to show you now is a vision for what integrating all these products and technologies might look like. And at the pace we're moving, you can anticipate that this vision will be reality in fairly short order. So we've talked about Power BI. Power BI, in many ways, is the face of insights out of Microsoft. We take all of the Azure technologies, the ability to do stream analytics, machine learning, and we bottle that up and deliver it through Power BI through all the experiences that Amir just did an amazing job demonstrating to you. But extending from Power BI, taking those insights and weaving them into modern business applications that actually do the work. You know, Power BI in many ways can be thought of as showing you the needle. Application software ultimately allows you to move that needle. And with our embedding capabilities that you saw, public embedding, you can imagine the ability to take those insights, those needles, if you will, and stick them right in the applications and allow you to then take action. And so Power Apps and Logic Flows are two technologies that we are now bringing together alongside Power BI, and we'll show you a vision for integrating those technologies that allow you to feed that insight into an application to allow users or automated processes to then act on those insights, and then ultimately, of course, producing yet more data that completes the cycle. And so really closing the loop, taking data, creating insights, intelligence, but then ultimately taking action to move the needle for your business. And so I want to have Saurabh come out and show you a scenario. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So what I'll be doing next is taking you on a journey for my demo from insights to action, and from action back to insights. For my first demo, I'll be playing the role of an operation manager for an airline company. Now, my company has had the foresight of investing in IoT sensors for our airline fleet. It has also had the foresight of course, using Power BI. So what that gives me is I now have a 360-degree view of my fleet. I know where they are at any point in the world. I know what their schedule looks like over the next few days, and I know how they are doing from a health perspective. My company has also had the foresight of taking the IoT data and running Cortana predictive maintenance analytics on top of it. So now, in Power BI, I can view the predicted life cycle of an engine for all up or for individual income engines, if I so desire. Next, using the power of custom visuals in Power BI, I can actually see a 3D model of an engine, dig deep into it, choose a particular component, and figure out what the Cortana predictive maintenance score for that component is. Cool, isn't it? But that's not all. There's more. What is more important is that with all this awesomeness of Power BI, I can now couple it with Power Apps and logic flows and actually convert these insights into action. Let's see what that means. In this case, as an operations manager, I noticed that one of my airplanes needs some attention. When I dig deep into it, I noticed that an engine parameter that I was tracking has crossed a threshold. And what I've already set up using logic flows is that anytime this threshold is crossed, an inspection gets scheduled on the floor for an engine specialist to take an action, to go and actually look at that data, to look at the engine, and give me a recommendation. So now we are transitioning from insight to action. I put on a different hat, literally. So I'll be an engine specialist. So now what I'll likely do is use an app, something like this, that I have running on my iPhone here. It's an app to help me go on the bay, inspect the engine, collect data from it, and submit my report. Let's see what went into building this application. And here, I introduced to some of you, and for folks who are already familiar, reintroduce Power Apps. It's already out in public preview, invitation only, but please do get added to the queue. What you see here is Power Apps, a tool that lets business specialists, personas just like yourself, build cross-platform mobile applications. It has been built to leverage skill sets that you already have. Your familiarity with Office, your great knowledge of Power BI, we believe all of that can be carried forward to actually make you app developers. Here's the Design Time Studio. Again, what we hope is that someone with Office skills feels very comfortable here. There are elements of PowerPoint in there, Excel. What Power Apps is great at is building UI on top of a back-end data source. Here I have a repeater or a gallery control tied to a data source. In this case, exactly the same data source that was powering the Power BI dashboard that I showed you earlier. I can see individual elements that are tied to fields within that data source. You see some Excel-type functions in there, which allow me to manipulate the data in the client. If I so desire, I can choose the layout from a UI perspective, work on the content again. And let me do. Or change the theme as well. Here's a theme that my 3-year-old would like. So if that's your choice, that works as well. A tool for business specialists to build cross-platform mobile applications. And what is the most productive part of the platform is that you build it once, and it runs on Android, no matter what version of Android you're using, chocolate, ice cream, all of those. We handle the complexities for you. It runs on iOS. It runs on a laptop. So now, let's look at one of these applications built using Power Apps. Back to my engine specialist persona. It's talking to the same data as Power BI. Logic flow scheduled for me to look at airline 1ABCK. I get the same Power BI dashboard in here, embedded. I get Cortana Analytics telling me within the engine which part to look at first, because that is the most likely to have an issue. Within the part is telling me which component to look at, again, based on IoT data. I go through my inspection. I decide this part needs to be replaced. I choose a date for it to be replaced. and I attach a photo there, wave to the backstage, and I save it. I did my inspection, and I save my report. As far as the service engineer is concerned, he's finished his action, but an action does not complete the loop. For this part to be replaced, there will have to be a purchase order that needs to be approved. It'll have to go back to our old friend, the operations manager, who will need further insights to make a decision on this recommendation from the engineer. So what happened when I submitted the report was, again, using logic flows, we fired off a flow. We should have sent an email right there to the operations manager telling him that inspection of a particular engine failed. He needs to act on it. And to act on it, when he clicks on a link, he's back into a Power BI dashboard that gives him all the details he needs to make his decision. We went from insight to action, back from action to insight. The operations manager can validate whether the decision of the maintenance engineer was right. He sees the same data the maintenance engineer saw, because they're all coming from the same data source. And once he's validated that the part needs to be replaced, he can look at where he wants to do the maintenance. We'll notice there's a big halt in Dubai. Maybe that's the right place to make the maintenance. And when he has all this data, he can launch an app and order the part right here from Power BI. We believe this deep integration of insight into action is extremely powerful and will be the next version or the next killer feature in BI. Thank you. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. All right, what do you think? Yeah, that's pretty cool. Where is the clicker? The clicker is hiding. Someone stole the clicker. That's okay. Someone behind stage can click for me. Let's go to the next slide. So we have, I think, shown you our commitment to investing in this space, and we've given you a sort of a glimpse of the future. We have, over the course of the next couple of days, hundreds of our engineers here. One of the great things about coming to this conference is the ability to meet the people who've actually built these technologies, built these products, to ask them questions, to interact with them, to learn from them. Hope you take the opportunity to do that. And when you do that, please give them a pat on the back from me. I mean, this team has really, really delivered. And pat yourself on the back, because the community, through its engagement, has really shaped this product and the direction that it's going to take going forward. I hope the next couple of days are a good use of your time. Thank you very much for attending the inaugural user conference. Next year, we're going to have a much, much, much larger venue. Thank you very much.